What complaints were Pullman police answering to this past weekend?
And what did Idaho Governor Brad Little veto? Murrow News 8 starts now.
From the Northwest Public Broadcasting Studios on the campus of Washington State University, this is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Christian Garza.
And I'm Natalie Newcomb. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
Over the weekend, Whitman County officially reinstated Phase 2 guidelines, and although the businesses had to make changes, some students on College Hill did not. Our reporter Sigmund Soroka is on College Hill to tell us about the weekend parties.
Thanks, Christian. Behind me here is the fraternity Sigma Pi, or 700 Northeast California Street, as it is in the police report, where they were known for having a party of over 700 people. The anonymous call was proven false, as the police showed up with only about 50 to 60 people in the yard. From what I saw when I worked nearby on College Hill, when I walked by, I saw a shoulder-to-shoulder party on the deck with shoulder-to-shoulder party in the yard as well. Officer Jacob Opgenorth, the police chief, clarified to me that the anonymous call was actually false, and when the police arrived, there was about 60 people kind of showing up, leaving the party. It was breaking up at that point. Now, Phase 2 guidelines in Whitman County are 15 people outside, masked and distanced. And clearly even 50 people was breaking that, but the police did not file any charges for anyone here or the other parties on College Hill at the time. They simply just educated everyone that was at the locations about what they need to do moving forward so we can get back to moving into Phase 3. Back to Christian and Natalie at the desk.
WSU launched their first ever institutional survey to gauge graduates' post-college plans. WSU emailed a questionnaire to over 5,000 seniors asking questions like, are you stepping into a job right after graduation, or are you going to graduate or professional school, and so on. The 2020-2025 WSU strategic plan emphasizes that WSU students receive an education that equips them to be contributors and leaders to their communities and that prepares graduates who are ready to make a difference in the world.
The Jordan Schneitzer Museum is open and has a new exhibit. Murrow News 8 reporter Ariel Yakabazi took a look at this student's exhibit and learned more about the relation to the perspective of space.
Beautiful. I love it. And
like other places at Washington State University, the Jordan Schneitzer Museum of Art at WSU is now open. With social distancing, masks, and attestations still required, visitors are free to enjoy the art once more. This year, the Schneitzer Museum is featuring a Master of Fine Arts thesis, or an MFA, exhibition. Their feature is Stephanie Broussard.
I've been really interested in how we think about space, the space in between us, and how COVID has affected that. And I started out my first semester here at WSU thinking about the translation between drawing into sculpture and then painting that sculpture. And so I started thinking about the nuance in between those translations, and that kind of extended throughout my time here. And so for my thesis, I decided to make work about 5 separate themes.
Her 5 themes include distance and closeness, interior and exterior, cityscape and landscape, spiritual and physical, and presence and absence. Danica Miller is an architecture student at WSU. One painting in particular caught her eye.
You can't just casually go hang out with friends like you used to. You have to make sure that everybody's in their little bubble, or people have been tested for COVID, or now people are finally getting vaccinated, and then it just makes you realize how important people are, and making sure that you can surround yourself with the people that you love, and to be present in that moment, and to really appreciate their company, because it's not always going to be there.
While coronavirus is still within the spotlight in most everyone's lives, it doesn't stop artists like Broussard from shining. Reporting in Pullman with Murrow News 8, I'm Ariel Yakabazi.
The Idaho Department of Lands and North Idaho firefighters responded to over a dozen wildland fires on Saturday. The fire started as controlled burns. One of the fires spread to a grain silo that was being used for storage. Another blaze began when a splash pile blew out of control and lit about an acre of land on Watermill Road near Deary. The Idaho Department of Land is reminding people to check the weather forecast before burning and to have a water source available.
A Thurston County Superior Court ruled that Tim Elain must pay nearly $2.9 million to cover the legal fees and costs of Attorney General Bob Ferguson's nearly 4-year lawsuit against Elain for campaign finance violations. Elain was charged and found liable for laundering political donations to enrich himself, accepting kickbacks from a signature gathering firm, secretly shuttling money between initiative campaigns, and concealing the source of other political contributions and granting legal fees. The court hands a near total victory to Ferguson in his long-running case against Elain, the state's best-known initiative promoter and conservative activist.
Idaho Governor Brad Little has vetoed a bill that would limit the powers of his own office. In an announcement Monday, Governor Little said the legislation was unconstitutional and would limit a governor's ability to respond with emergency orders like those issued during the pandemic.
Kept the state's ability to take timely and necessary actions to help Idahoans in future emergencies.
Trump's picks was removed by the Biden administration.
And can we expect more sunny days on the Palouse? More on Murrow News 8.
It feels like no matter where you look, the state of the world's getting worse. Oceans full of plastic, an endless amount of waste, an impossible task ahead of fixing our beloved planet. But change can't happen if you do nothing. So here's where you should start. Reduce. Why? Because Americans produce more than 200 million tons of waste every year, and you don't want to add to that. Reuse. Why? Because reusing and repurposing cuts back on unnecessary waste, and it gives things a chance at new life. Recycle. Why? Because recycling creates jobs. It helps our community and it helps our planet. And after doing all this, what will we be left with? We'll be left with a planet that will slowly start to heal.
By the end of this weekend, at least 9 more people have died from gun violence in back-to-back shootings across the country. After the news of yet another mass shooting at the FedEx facility in Indianapolis last Thursday, these shootings happened in Illinois, Texas, Wisconsin, Ohio, Nebraska, and Louisiana. If this weekend proves anything, it's that the United States is not only facing the COVID-19 pandemic, but a gun violence epidemic as well.
The jury started deliberations in the former police officer Derek Chauvin's trial in the death of George Floyd. The 12 jurors began deliberating nearly 3 weeks of witness testimony. Chauvin declined to testify in trial last week. The officer is facing 3 charges: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter charges.
The Biden administration has removed a Trump appointment from a climate change post. Betsy Weatherhead served in a newly created position designed to oversee the government's release of climate-related reports. The latest movement by the Biden administration has now nearly emptied all Trump's-era climate appointees. Moving on to Luke with the weather, can we expect more sun for the rest of the semester?
Thanks, Christian. Now, normally I go by Luke Walker, but today you can call me lukewarm because temperatures are going up this next week in Pullman. So check this out. So today, sunny conditions with highs of 58 and lows of 33 degrees. We're hitting that time of the year where our sunrise and sunset times are giving us almost 14 hours of daylight. Now, going into tomorrow, sunny conditions again with highs of 62 and lows of 34. Now, we're in that time of the year at the Palouse where flowers are starting to bloom. The video that you'll see right here is videos on campus. You might be seeing similar blooming happening in your gardens, which with Mother's Day coming up would make great last-minute gifts with some freshly cut flowers. So that's happening this time of the year, and these blooming conditions aren't just happening here in Pullman, but across the state. The more west that you go, the hotter it is. For example, in Seattle and Olympia, 70 and 72 degrees. Going into more central Washington, Yakima and the Tri-Cities are at 66 degrees. And then Pullman and Spokane, 58 degrees. Now, going into the 5-day forecast, it's going to be sunny most of the week here in Pullman, except for Saturday where there is a chance of rain. Also, Wednesday and Thursday, we're seeing highs of 66 degrees, which is perfect for conditions for maybe walking the puppers, enjoying a drink on the patio for the Coug or Valhalla. Either way, if you're outside, wear some sunscreen. But that's your weather report. I'm lukewarm. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you so much, Lukewarm. After the break, we'll look at WSU's baseball season and soccer updates.
We'll be right back.
Pressure.
Expectations.
Overwhelmed.
Mental health issues are real.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 15 through 24.
But it doesn't have to stay that way.
If you're going through a difficult time,
hope and help is only a phone call away.
On the playing field, it is important to lean on your teammates for help.
It is important to lean on each other off the field, too.
life isn't always easy and can sometimes feel overwhelming.
You don't have to face it alone.
We are all on the same team when it comes to looking out for each other.
There is hope.
You matter.
We care.
Help is just a phone call away.
WSU men's baseball wins one of 3 home game series against Arizona. The Cougars lost 2 of 3 games against the number 16 Arizona Wildcats. Cougs scored an impressive 21 runs on Friday, tied for 9th most in WSU history. On Saturday, they fell to an 8-run deficit and only scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th, coming up short. Sunday, the Cougs opened the game up 5-3, but losing 11-5. Men's baseball start their 4-game road trip down to Berkeley, California, when they face the California Golden Bears. WSU women's soccer ends regular season in draw against UW. The WSU soccer team tied the number 22 Huskies 0-0 in the last game of the season on Friday. Senior goalkeeper Marissa Zuchetta had a career-high 13 saves en route to the 0-0 draw after 2 overtimes. WSU maintained their streak of not allowing the Huskies to win in Pullman. The last time Washington won an away game match against the Cougars was in November of 1996. The draw against the Huskies also snapped a 2-match losing streak for the Cougars against the Huskies. The women ended their regular season having played 12 games, scoring 17 goals, 16 assists, and 50 points. Seattle Seahawks defensive end Aldon Smith charged with battery in Louisiana. A warrant has been issued for the arrest for an alleged second-degree battery that occurred in the New Orleans area on Saturday evening. Smith allegedly choked a victim unconscious during a confrontation that began inside a coffee shop in Chalamet, Louisiana, and that warrant was signed by the court a day later. The alleged incident rises to a second-degree battery because the victim was rendered unconscious. An offender convicted of second-degree battery faces a fine up to $2,000 and/or up to 8 years in prison.
We'll be right back after the break.
Thanks for watching. If you missed anything in this or any of our previous newscasts, you can always watch us on our YouTube channel.
More news can be found at nwpb.org/mn8, and you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a wonderful night.